Nice of you to drop in.
Hello people, I am the Real Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be addressing the whole "is Superman boring" topic, because lately on all my Superman videos I've been getting a ton of comments saying Superman's boring, he's the most OP character ever, and I know exactly why I'm getting those comments just now. The reason for that is because of Screw Attack's newest Superman vs. Goku video, and of course, in that video, they make Superman seem like the worst character possible. They say he's OP, and they say there's like one element to him, and of course you have the people that just hate the fact that they said Superman would beat Goku. I don't know who would win that fight, because I don't know nothing about Goku. I know nothing about Goku, so I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Superman, because in that video they basically say Superman's God, he's all powerful, and he's just completely OP. And they say that there's only one element to his character, and that is the whole adjusting to society, fitting in because he's an alien. Let's be honest here, if the only element to Superman's character was that he's an alien that's having to learn to fit in, he would have gotten boring a long time ago. I mean, he's been around for 75 plus years. That's a long time. He would not be near as popular as he is if his whole thing was just, well, you know, I need to fit into society. He's had over 75 years to do so. You think he would have fit in by now. Well, he has a lot of other elements to him. For instance, unlike how Screw Attack would have you believe, he has a ton of fun to watch fight. He has some really cool fights, and a lot of people are just saying, well, you know, he's just a sucky character, and even Superman fans think, well, his physicality, like watching him fight isn't that fun. It's not. It's just, you know, the stories. Well, the stories are great, and the fighting's awesome as well. I don't know about you guys, but I personally love seeing a guy who can fly and has super strength fight. I think it's awesome. And it's not always just, oh, he's super OP and this person can't touch him. No. For instance, in Superman Brainiac, when Superman is fighting Brainiac on his ship, Superman is just getting manhandled, and he realizes he can't just be a straight up brute. He has to outsmart Brainiac. He has to fight smart. And so what he does is, Brainiac is on his ship, and he's got these wires connecting to his head, and what those do is they're just feeding him energy. So Superman went and broke one of those off. It really hurt Brainiac. That got him the advantage. From then on, he was able to punch Brainiac out of his ship and onto Earth. And when he was on Earth, Brainiac was just all freaking out because he's in the mud and there's all these bugs crawling on him. And he's never been outside like a mechanical atmosphere before. So he was all weird. He was just like, this is nature. I'm not used to this. And it freaked him out. And Superman was able to beat him after that. And that was Superman fighting smart. And after Superman has defeated Brainiac, he takes the bottled city of Kandor, goes, resizes it, and he's all happy. He's like, finally, I'm resizing it. This is awesome. But then he hears his mother, Martha Kent, crying out for help. Turns out what happened was Brainiac had sent a suicide drone over to the Kent farm, and it went over there, it exploded. It didn't hurt anyone, but it did cause Jonathan Kent to have a heart attack. And Superman flies over there, realizes his father's dead, and then we get the epilogue of the story, which is Jonathan Kent's funeral. In the first 5 pages of this epilogue, there's no dialogue whatsoever, and we see that Superman is just, well, Clark is really sad, and he's imagining going over and just killing Brainiac. We get panels of Superman breaking into Brainiac's prison cell and beating Brainiac to death, literally, like, till he's dead. And then we get our first bit of dialogue, which is between Clark and Lois, and Superman's just saying, you know, Brainiac's still alive, my father isn't. Lois says, you can't think about that, you gotta think of what he taught you. So then Clark goes away, he goes to the stable, and when he's inside there, he sees all this stuff that reminds him of his father, some very sentimental things, and the very final page of the issue is, of the Superman Brainiac, the whole story, the very final page is Superman on the ground crying with this horseshoe that meant a lot to him because it had sentimental value from his father. Now that was one of the hardest hitting moments for me from all of Superman comics. Well, in all of comics altogether. It was so emotional and is amazing. There's another moment in the New 52 where Jonathan Kent died, and what happens is Martha Kent had just died, and Jonathan Kent's inside of he's inside the hospital, and he looks at Clark and he says, I'm gonna die, I want to die at my house. Clark picks him up and starts walking to their house, and the hospital, everyone there is like, no, you can't do that, son. He says, I'm taking my father where he wants to go. He looks at Jonathan Kent and he says, you can do whatever you want. That was just another sentimental moment. Like, these are great moments that you don't see everywhere. Also, what kind of a Boy Scout that, you know, is very, like, stupid and uninteresting would imagine killing Brainiac? He was so mad about Jonathan Kent dying, and he also mentions how he couldn't save his father because it was a heart attack. He couldn't save him, and it was a great moment and very sad, and one of the most emotional moments ever for me in all of comics. Now, another really cool fight featuring Superman overcoming an obstacle and not just being able to simply overpower his opponent happens in Superman Unchained. Now, in Superman Unchained, Superman is fighting this guy called Wraith, who is just way more powerful than Superman. There's no two ways about it. He's this guy who's got all Superman's powers plus like 10 more. He's extremely powerful, and when Superman's fighting him, he's realizing he can't win. So what he does is he takes Wraith and he's able to lead him to like the middle of the earth, you know, the core where lava and all that is. And what that does is it cancels out the electromagnetic energy, which is what Wraith feeds off of for his extra power. So while Superman's down there, he says, like, Wraith is trying to shoot him with stuff, and he's like, what's going on? And Superman says, you said it yourself, you know, this electromagnetic energy is what you feed off, gives you a lot of your powers. And he says, down here, all we've got is our strength, our speed, and our wits. So basically, Superman just took him down there so they could have an even fight, and Superman is a smart fighter. If you don't like Superman winning because he's a smart fighter, you should absolutely hate Batman. Seriously, that logic makes no sense. And it was such a cool fight. Superman versus Wraith and Superman Unchained is one of my favorite fights ever. It's like Superman, watching him fight is so much fun, yet I see all these people just saying he's OP and all this stuff. No, there are a lot of people that can challenge Superman physically, and it's awesome to see him fight because it's such a huge display. Like, it's so much fun. In that same fight against Wraith, Superman takes his cape off and uses it as an advantage against Wraith to tie his hand, because he realizes that Wraith does not have a cape and he does, so he uses it to his advantage, and that really helps him take down Wraith, and then he strikes weak points. It's a really cool fight. A really cool underrated fight that Superman has that doesn't last too long, but it's a really cool, interesting fight, is against the Puzzler in Superman Up, and Away. In that, Superman is fighting the Puzzler. He has his powers at this point, because in the story arc, he lost his powers, but at this point, he has his powers. And the Puzzler is just this girl who's a puzzle, like she's a puzzle in a humanoid form. And so every time Superman punches her, she just comes back together again as a puzzle. So he's trying to figure out how to beat her, and what he does is he's able to punch her, and he takes his cape and wraps her up all in it, so that way she's trapped. That's showing Superman fighting smart, because he realized he couldn't beat her with brute force, and that's not him being OP, that's him being smart. And it was a really cool, interesting fight that's not something on a huge scale that you would think of for Superman, because a lot of people think when Superman's fighting someone, oh, it has to be Doomsday or Darkseid. Now, those are awesome fights, but it doesn't always have to be someone like that. For instance, his main villain is Lex Luthor, the smartest guy in the universe, like the smartest guy in the DC universe. That's so cool. It's not like the most powerful guy in the universe, it's the smartest guy. That just goes to show how Superman is. Now, all that being said about Superman's physicality and how awesome that is not my favorite part about Superman. That is one of my favorite parts, but my favorite is Clark Kent, who Superman truly is underneath it all, how his character is, the character of Superman. Because, like I was just mentioning, Superman Up, and Away, that's my favorite Superman graphic novel. That's my favorite graphic novel of all time. It really showcases how Superman is. In that book, like I was saying, he lost his powers, and when he has no powers, he goes and he just puts his all into being the best husband he can be for Lois Lane, and for being the best reporter he can be at the Daily Planet. Like, they're shocked at how great of a reporter he is, because suddenly, you know, he's a great reporter. So what he does is, he uncovers these secret weapons that are in this, like, underground train place, and he's able to, like, call superheroes to help him, while Hal Jordan comes up and helps him, and stuff like that. Like, even when he has no powers, he's still trying to stop evildoers. And at the very end of the book, it ends with him with no powers against Lex Luthor in a fist fight. They're fighting, and Superman says, no matter what, whether I have powers or not, I am always here to stop people like you. And I was like, that just sums up Superman. That's how he is, no matter what, however he can help. Like, as Clark Kent, he was unraveling this stuff, he was able to call other heroes to help. That is really cool. That's how Superman is. He does whatever he can to help, and that's such a cool character. There's so many different elements to Superman. There's the whole adjusting to society thing, which is not his only element. There's the physicality of seeing him fight, and he fights really smart. There's the fact that he is a great person, which a lot of people think is lame for some reason, just think is a Boy Scout and a one-dimensional character, which is not true at all. Like at the end of Superman ending battle, he struggled with the fact of should he kill Manchester Black or not. Like, he had this whole imagination about killing Manchester Black, because at first he thought Manchester Black killed Lois, but then he calmed himself down and realized Lois was still alive. He struggles with things. He is not perfect, but he tries his best to be the person we should all want to be. That's how Superman is. And yeah, I didn't name every single thing for Superman I could, but I just wanted to name a few things that I love about Superman. And yeah, Superman's just a great all-around character. There are multiple elements to him. A lot of people would have you believe he's a one-dimensional Boy Scout that's OP and just is a stupid character, but that's not how he is, actually. I suggest you guys go and read some Superman comics. If you haven't, he's got some great comics, some of the best out there, and he's an amazing character, and I love Superman. He's my favorite superhero of all time. So of course, Superman is not boring to me. I can understand Superman is boring to someone, but I hate it when people base it off of false accusations. That's what I hate, when people say Superman's boring because of this, and it's like, well, that's not true at all. So, but if you're just not interested in the character, that's fine to me. Like, I'm not interested in Thor. I don't hate Thor, but Thor just does not interest me. If you're like the same way with Superman, I'm fine with that. But if someone's like, I hate Superman because he's so overpowered, or because he only has one element to him, it's like, that's not true at all. Go read some Superman comics. But anyways, that's just a video I really wanted to do since I'd been getting so many comments about how boring Superman is. I really wanted to make a video about this topic. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.